When I was 12, my best friend Madison invited 3 of us over for a sleepover. Her parents were out of town, and we had the whole house to ourselves. Pizza boxers covered the kitchen counter, music was blasting upstairs, and for a while, everything was perfectly normal until someone suggested we play a game. Not truth or dare, not light as a feather, stiff as a board. No, this one was different. Madison called it the fourth corner. She said her cousin told her about it. You needed 3 people, 4 corners, and the lights off. One person would stand in each corner, and the last would start the game by running to tag another's shoulder. Then that person would move to tag the next, and so on, forming a loop. You'll notice something weird, Madison said, grinning in the glow of the flashlight. There are only 3 of us. But after 30 minutes, the game completes 2 loops. We laughed. It sounded dumb, but we did it anyway. We set up in our living room, one corner by the couch, one near the old grandfather clock, and one beside the window. The 4th corner was empty. The house was silent except for the rain tapping against the glass. Madison killed the lights. For the first few minutes, it was just footsteps and laughter in the dark. We took turns tapping shoulders, running from corner to corner, giggling every time someone tripped on a pillow. Then, somewhere around the 20-minute mark, I felt a shift. The air got heavier. The house creaked like it was breathing. When I reached to tap Madison's shoulder, she wasn't there. But someone was. The skin under my fingers was cold and damp, like someone who'd just climbed out of a lake. Got you, I whispered, but the voice that answered wasn't Madison's. It was low, hoarse, almost behind me. You're not supposed to touch me yet. I spun around, but the flashlight flickered and went out. From the dark came the sound of footsteps, not 3, but 4. Something brushed past me. Someone else took a corner. Keep playing, the voice said again. Finish the circle. We didn't. We screamed, bolted upstairs, turned on every light in the house, and refused to go back down until morning. When Madison's parents came home the next day, we told them the story. They laughed, said it was just nerves, a trick of the dark. But when Madison's dad went down to the living room to get his jacket, he called us over. There were 4 wet footprints on the carpet leading straight from the empty corner to the window. When I was a kid, my friends and I used to play a game called Concentrate. It was one of those weird little rituals kids pass around at sleepovers like Bloody Mary or the elevator game. We thought it was harmless. Back then, we didn't know. It was supposed to show you how you'll die. There were 5 of us that night, me, Jenna, Mark, Lucy, and Chris. We were in Jenna's basement, sitting cross-legged in a circle, surrounded by empty soda cans and melting candles we'd found in her mom's kitchen drawer. Jenna said her older sister told her about the real version of the game, the one you weren't supposed to play. In that version, you didn't just chant words. You simulated death. You have to let yourself go limp, Jenna said, her eyes wide with excitement, like your soul's floating out. If you do it right, you'll see how you die one day. We thought she was full of crap, but we were bored, so we tried. The rules were simple. One person sits with their back turned while another stands behind them, placing their hands lightly on their shoulders. The rest chant a rhyme in a sing-song voice. It goes something like, concentrate, concentrate, people dying, children crying. Then the one behind mimics different deaths, pretending to stab, to strangle, to drop something heavy. All while the chant continues. The idea was that at the end, when they whisper, "Now you're dead," The one sitting would get a vision. When it was my turn, I sat cross-legged on the rug. Jenna stood behind me. The others began chanting, their voices low and rhythmic. Concentrate. Concentrate. Her hands pressed lightly against my shoulders. I could feel her fingers trace an imaginary blade down my spine, then a noose around my neck. The basement air felt heavier with every verse. The candles hissed. Then she whispered, "Now you're dead." Everything went black. I don't mean eyes closed black. I mean nothing. The air was gone. Sound was gone. For a second, I thought I'd stopped breathing. Then I saw something. Dark road, rain, headlights, a crash, metal twisted. My own reflection in a broken windshield. I woke up screaming. The others stared at me, pale as ghosts. "Dude," Mark whispered, "you were gone for like 2 minutes. You didn't blink. We didn't finish the game." Jenna blew out the candles, but the smoke didn't fade. It hung in the air, swirling, forming shapes I couldn't explain. I tried to laugh it off. We all did. But 3 years later, when I was 16, my brother's car hydroplaned on a wet road and hit a guardrail. He died instantly. When I went to the hospital to identify him, I saw it again, the same cracked windshield, the same reflection, and that's when I realized the game didn't show how I would die. It showed how someone I loved would. When I was 13, my best friend Kyle told me about a game his cousin used to play at camp, something called the Sandman game. He said it could make you feel like your whole body was filled with sand, like you can't move, he said. Grinning, like you're dead. We laughed at first. It sounded like one of those silly playground tricks, like Bloody Mary or Light as a Feather. But that night, during a sleepover at his house, when the rain started and the power flickered out, we decided to try it. There were 4 of us. Me, Kyle, his sister Erin, and a kid named Mason from down the street. We were sprawled on sleeping. Bags in the living room, the glow of a single flashlight bouncing off the walls. Kyle said he'd be the storyteller. Erin volunteered to be the listener. She lay face down on the carpet, her head resting on her folded arms. Kyle knelt beside, hers voice low and even. "Don't move. Just listen. Everyone else, stay quiet." He began tracing his fingers lightly along her back. Then he started to tell a story. "You're lying on the side of the road," he said softly. "You were in an accident. You can't move. Your body is broken. People are coming to help. But it's too late." His fingers moved up and down her spine, slow and steady. "They cover you in sand," he whispered. "It's warm, heavy. You feel it fill your arms, your legs, your chest." Erin shivered. The flashlight flickered. "It's filling your mouth," Kyle continued. "Your nose, your eyes. You can't breathe. You can't scream. You're just sand." Then he said the final words. "Sandman's here." We waited for Erin to laugh or move. She didn't. Her breathing slowed until it almost stopped. Her skin looked pale, her lips dry. "Erin," I whispered. No answer. Kyle shook her shoulder. "Hey, wake up. Game's over." Nothing. Mason started panicking. He ran to turn on the lights, but they wouldn't come on. The power was out again, and then Erin gasped. A sharp, choking sound, like she was drowning. She sat up suddenly, eyes wide open, but she wasn't looking at us. She was looking past us. "There's sand," she whispered. "It's everywhere. He's standing in it. Who? Kyle asked, his voice shaking. The Sandman. The flashlight went out. When it flickered back to life, Erin was gone. Just gone. The carpet where she'd been lying was soaked. Not with water. With something fine and dry. We searched the house, called her name, but we never found her. The police said she must have run away, but there were no footprints in the sand. Sometimes I still dream about that night. I can feel his fingers. On my back, I can feel the weight, and when I wake up, there's always a little sand on my pillow. When I was a kid growing up in the suburbs, we used to play something called Purple Hearts. It wasn't really a board game or a card game. It was one of those sleepover games that always started with someone saying, "Do you want to try?" Something freaky. No one ever remembered where it came from. Maybe someone's cousin or a kid from another school. But it spread around like wildfire in the late 90s, the same way urban legends do. That night, it was me, Josh, and Emily. We were all about 15, half bored, half hyped on soda, sprawled across Josh's basement floor. The lights were dim except for a single desk lamp that threw everything in this yellow haze. Josh said his older brother used to play Purple Hearts in high school. It's supposed to show you your future, if you can make it through the dream. That word dream stuck in my head. The rules were simple. You needed 2 people minimum. One person was the dreamer, the other was the guide. Anyone else had to stay completely silent. No laughing, no whispering, no moving. The guide would sit beside the dreamer, place their hands lightly on the dreamer's temples, and start whispering questions. Personal questions. About fears. About regrets. About people who'd died. The dreamer would close their eyes and answer as honestly as possible. And then the guide would start the visualization. Josh volunteered to be the dreamer first. Emily sat beside him, brushing her long hair behind her ear, trying to act confident. I killed the desk lamp. The only light now came from the tiny basement window. Glowing faintly from the streetlight outside, she started whispering, "You're walking down a hallway. The floor is cold. You see a door on your left, it's black. You see a door on your right, it's white. Which one do you open?" Josh chuckled nervously. "White. You open it. What's inside?" He paused. "A room. Feels like my grandma's house. Smells like lavender and old perfume." Emily smiled. "Good. Now you walk forward. There's another door. This one's purple. You can hear something behind it, something calling your name. Do you open it?" Josh hesitated. "Yeah. You open it. Inside, everything is dark. But on the walls, you see purple hearts. Hundreds of them. Beating. The air in the room shifted. I swear it got colder. They're moving," Josh whispered. "Like they're alive." Emily frowned. "Okay, when you see the purple hearts, it's time to wake up." But Josh didn't open his eyes. She said it again, louder. "Josh, wake up." It's nothing. He was breathing weird, shallow, like he couldn't get enough air. I shook his shoulder. "Dude, wake up." Still nothing. His lips were moving, but no sound came out. Then Emily froze. "Oh my God." Look. On Josh's arms, just beneath his t-shirt sleeves, faint bruises were appearing. Small, circular ones, purple and red, shaped exactly like hearts. I felt my stomach twist. Josh gasped suddenly, eyes snapping open. He sat straight up, panting, sweat dripping down his face. Emily stumbled back, pale as chalk. He looked at us like he didn't recognize either of us. "You saw them too?" he whispered. "We never played Purple Hearts again, but sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, half between dreaming and consciousness, I swear I can still hear that whisper. When you see the Purple Hearts, it's time to wake up. And every single time, I can feel them beating right under my skin." I was 16 the night we played it. It was one of those long, humid summer nights when nobody could sleep. So we all ended up in Tyler's basement. Me, Tyler, his girlfriend Brooke, and our friend Mason. The air smelled like stale chips and candle wax, and the only light came from an old lamp flickering in the corner. We'd gone through every game we could think of. Bloody Mary, light as a feather Ouija. Nothing ever worked. But then Brooke said, "Let's try cat scratch." None of us had heard of it. "It's supposed to summon a ghost cat," she said with this half smile, half dare. "If you do it right, you feel it scratch your back, but the marks fade after." Tyler laughed. "Right, because ghost cats leave temporary hickeys?" Brooke ignored him. "You need two people. One's the storyteller, the other's the sleeper. The rest of you just stay quiet." Mason pointed at me. "You're up, man." So I lay down with my head in Brooke's lap, trying not to think about how awkward it was. She started rubbing my temples slowly, whispering in this calm, low voice. "There was once a girl who owned a cat. She loved him more than anything. But one night, the cat was hit by a car. The girl cried and cried until she went crazy. The next night, she found another cat, a black one, and she picked it up. But it wasn't her cat. It hissed and clawed her face, and she threw it against the wall." Her voice slowed. "The next morning, she found scratches all over her arms, deep, red, and angry. And when she looked closer, she saw the cat sitting at the foot of her bed, watching her sleep." The basement felt colder, Tyre muttered, "Creepy as hell." Brooke pressed a finger to her lips. Then she whispered the words, "Cat scratch, cat scratch, cat scratch." Everything went quiet. I swear, even the hum of the basement. Fridge faded. Then I felt it a light touch across my back, like fingernails dragging slowly, deliberately, from my shoulders down to my spine. I twitched. "Brooke, stop. I'm not touching you," she whispered. The pressure got sharper. Scraping, burning. "Tyler," I hissed, sitting up. "I'm done with this." They all gasped. Brooke's face went pale. Holy shit. I turned around and saw the mirror by the stairs. My shirt was lifted slightly, and on my back 3 deep red marks, thin but angry looking, running diagonally. Like claw tracks. No one said anything for a full minute. We tried to laugh it off. Mason said it had to be a coincidence, that I probably scratched myself without realizing it. But the thing is, they didn't fade. Not after an hour. Not after the next day. They stayed. And that night, when I finally fell asleep in my own bed, I woke up to the sound of purring, right next to my ear. When I turned my head, there was nothing, except for the faint indent on my pillow, shaped exactly like a cat curled up beside me.